Thanks so much for tuning in to another edition of the Bloody Legends with Jai That Aussie Metal Guy and Jim Taylor. Make sure you're a bloody legend and hit that like and subscribe so you can keep up to date with all the great content from these bloody legends. G'day, how are you all going? It's Jai That Aussie Metal Guy here with the Bloody Legends, and as always, I have my awesome co-host JB, Jim Taylor, and tonight, wherever you are, we have Bryan Scott of the Union Underground and Cult to follow. Also got some solo stuff out there, Bryan. This is an absolute pleasure. We are here to talk about the Back to 2000s tour, but we will chat about a whole lot of other stuff as well. So thank you very much, my friend.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
No, absolute pleasure, man. It must be a busy time of your life at the moment, yeah?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm doing these all day long.
Awesome.
I love it.
Yeah, definitely a really, really good time. We did have a chat with Mr. Tim King the other day of Soil about the Back to the 2000s tour. What's it like getting back with the Union Underground? Because I know that you've kind of had that really big album, Education and Rebellion, and kind of everything kind of fell apart there, and you kind of wanted to bring it back a couple of times. But what's it like kind of finally getting a chance to kind of bring this back to the newer crowds and the newer audience and the older audiences as well?
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, it just really worked out this year for for just everybody involved that, the timing is right. And, we did a couple of shows 2017 and last year we did a Blue Ridge Rock Fest in the States. That was awesome. And we've been kind of doing little one-offs here and there while we're working on new music, just to kind of stay motivated and, kind of keep the name, in the public eye a bit. But, the real relaunch will happen with the new record, of course. So that's why we're doing this now, is to kind of reintroduce the world to Rebellion and, reintroduce like a whole new generation, because it really is. It's been a while, right? That record's been out for a bit. So, like people coming to this tour are going to be like bringing their kids or the younger brothers and sisters and stuff. So that's fantastic. And we get to kind of reintroduce everybody to that record and then set them up, for the new one later in the year.
That's killer, man. Like I remember it was, I think 2002, man. When I heard Across the Nation just hit me right in the throat. And I was like, from there, I went back and got your record, and it was like, dude, this is just unabashed rock, man. I mean, what a great record. And how is that? That's gonna be really cool to like revisit these songs again on the tour. Will you be introducing new songs in addition to playing that in full, or what like set list wise, I guess a mix of the two of those?
Yep, we're gonna do the entire record, and it's from front to back, right? Maybe in a different order, of course, but all the songs from Rebellion, we'll be doing Across the Nation, of course, and a few new songs that'll be on the new record.
Awesome.
So that'll be kind of a treat for everybody. Like we're definitely gonna play some stuff that no one's heard yet, So it's kind of a mix. But yeah, Rebellion in its entirety for sure.
What was it like?
That's going to be tremendous.
Yeah, what was that like diving back into that album and playing some of those deeper cuts and getting ready for this tour? Because that was a totally different time. I remember kind of when this album come out, as Jim mentioned as well, and it was a joy for me to kind of jump back into this album and then your earlier material as well, and it just felt like a whole lifetime ago, but it also felt so natural and easy to kind of dive back into it. What was it like for you as someone who created that? And
it's it's an eclectic collection of songs, right? I mean, it kind of, it really, the influencers are kind of all over the place, and which is what I like about that record. And I had been like you mentioned too, I've had a project called Cold to Follow that I've been focusing on for the last 10 years or so. And
Which
but
rocks, by the fucking
it,
way.
oh,
Indeed,
thank you
sir.
so much. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Thank you so much. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm, yeah, that's a huge passion project of mine. I mean, I love it to death, you know. Um, and but sometimes when I was sitting down writing actual for Cult to Follow, I, I would, I'd have some ideas that I thought, you know what, man, this is just that's a Union Underground song. Like I need to put that away
Nice.
for a Union song, because it's kind of one of those things. And obviously, if you've heard the Cult to Follow stuff, you hear those Union elements, right? Because it's kind of coming from the same brain. You know,
Mm.
it's a slightly different style, but there's always those elements. I mean, there's some Cult to Follow songs you could just throw the Union label on and be like, okay, all right, I get it.
Done. Yeah,
Right?
yeah, for sure.
But there's been specific things over the last couple of years, 3, 4, or 5 years that I was writing, and I thought, man, these are so Union sounding that I just have to kind of file those away for the Union project. So, and I really got to a point where I felt like I had enough stuff to where it's like, okay, well now it just needs to get released to the world, you know. So the timing was perfect for this run. And Tim from Soil, you said you guys just talked to him.
We
He
did, yeah.
Yeah, I mean he was very instrumental in, putting this thing together and pitched the idea of the Back to the 2000s thing, and I thought it was a great idea. And we've been wanting to do something for the last couple of years. So
Hell
and
yeah.
me and Tim are buddies. We have huge history.
I
We
know he
actually have a
said some
side project.
amazingly nice things about you as well, and the
It was
side
rad,
project
dude.
Into the Fire. It was,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's some really great things to say about you as well. So this must be he was really excited as well because kind of these guys were the first ones they kind of went on tour with for that Scars album as well. You
Yeah,
know what
yeah.
I mean? As you were kind of rounding up your touring cycle for An Education and Rebellion, you grabbed those guys and you kind of went on tour, and it seemed like it was a really great memories for him as well.
We were grinding it out, man. I mean, we were all in our first records and like just cruising around in rickety tour buses and like just scrapping it together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
It was a whole
yeah,
different
we
time back then for you guys as well, and you kind of signed to these record labels, so they do control a lot of who the band is and what you're doing and where you're going. But flash to now, you're able to have a little more control over your band and your project and to how you
mm,
release it. And the record companies don't necessarily have quite as big a hold as they kind of did back then.
yeah. I mean, it really is a different world. Internally, the fans probably see it's the same to them, but internally, it's the mechanism is very different than it used to be. You know,
Sure.
and yeah, you do have a lot more freedom. I didn't really experience a, a lot of pushback from the label too much at the time because, I mean, I was a major producer on the record, so you kind of have. I had a lot of weight to throw around, so I didn't get too much. I, some of the content, on the record is ridiculous. I mean, to get it past like Sony Music was quite a feat. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I mean these days people do have hey, if you have a laptop and you have an idea, you can get your record on Spotify. I mean, it's a very
Mm.
different record. It's a very different world than it used to be trying to get a record out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. I was just talking about this with a buddy of mine. It's like, you know, I think it's a good thing for artists to have so many avenues and platforms, but I, I I think for the audience, you might be not getting as the best quality you can because
Right.
now the amount of things and the amount of proving to the world that you were capable was monumental to get a record deal back in the day. You know what I mean?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
very, so if you eliminate those guidelines, you know, for lack of a better word, to get your thing out to the world, I mean,
Right.
anyone can just do any, you know, I can take it straight from my laptop, upload it to Spotify. There, it's done. It doesn't require any proving ground at all, you know.
Yeah.
So for artists, that can be an amazing thing. For the audience,
It's
I
a bit
don't know.
harder to cut through
You know,
some of the bullshit
Right.
to find the really good
there's a
stuff.
lot of noise, man. There's a lot
Yeah.
of noise. There's a lot of content, but it's like that with everything now. I mean, you know, Netflix, movies, everything. Anyone with a great idea and a camera and a cool script can just go make a movie and upload it to Netflix for a fee, and there it is. Their
Yeah.
movies on Netflix. So you know,
Right.
it's a very different world for sure.
But it's very cool. Oh, sorry, Jay.
You go.
No. I was gonna say, it's very well, to rediscover, uh, uh, stuff you've done, but also, the project, be like, oh, I remember that band, you know, from, not to harken back to, it was WWF Reckless Intent.
And by the
Or,
way, one of the best fucking wrestling songs ever, hands
no doubt,
down,
brother.
no fail. And I know so many other people would definitely agree with me. Like you hear that.
I mean, dude,
Yeah,
That was the sound of my fucking raw fucking everything, dude.
yeah,
Brian,
it was
I was like,
fantastic.
oh, dude, it just had so much pomp and like just that, dare I say, Texas swagger? Can I say that?
Yep. Yep. Fucking oath.
I have no problem with that. I hope I
Right.
have some. Yeah.
No, but it was just, but that's cool to revisit that and introduce it to, guys our age, and then it's like those with kids, and be like, hey, this is what I listened to 25 years ago. Check this out.
Yeah, well, that's
And
how I
then to
felt
play
diving
these
into this
songs.
album, dude. It's
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying. Following on from that,
Yeah.
playing this album like South Texas Death Ride and Turn Me On, Mr. Deadman. I was like, fuck, I
Mhm.
have not heard this in so fucking long. This
Same,
slaps
dude.
so fucking
For real.
hard.
Brian, we were so
There's an
excited to have you on. This is great, man. Thank you for
oh, thank
joining
you.
us. This is great.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. I mean, you know, that stuff, there's an energy in that stuff that just, you know, I miss, you
For
know,
sure.
from a lot of the newer, you know, doing these things, a lot of these things this week, and I've been talking about it a lot. Like, I don't really follow a lot of newer metal bands.
Right.
And there's a lot of killer bands out there, but you know, I miss that kind of just that quick, like punchy energy of that era. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I think
That's what's up.
a lot of modern metal bands are like, it's very involved sounding, and there's just tons of production going on, and there's just so many elements happening all the time. It's very busy sounding. I miss that kind of just simple, catchy stuff that just kind of kicks your ass, you know. And that's what I love
Yeah.
about Rebellion. And by the way, the new record, I'm very focused on it being a continuation of that record, not like a what would the Union Underground sound like in 2024. I want it
Right.
to
Right.
sound like Rebellion 2, right?
Well, like time never stopped. You just kept on.
Like time never
Right
stopped.
there.
I mean, because that's I want, you know, and that's the sound. That's the sound that I want to focus on.
Yeah.
You know, for the new record, and you
Where
know, it's definitely coming out like that.
where are you recording that at?
I have a studio myself that we're doing the majority of the production in, and then
Nice.
probably Yeah, and I've always done it like that. I mean, we did Rebellion like that. I mean, 90% of that record was recorded, in our home studio. And
That's
then
killer,
we,
man.
yeah, and then which was, not that common back then. Now it
Right,
is, of
right,
course. But back
right.
then it wasn't that common. And then we worked on some stuff with a couple of co-producers, Don
Mhm.
Gilmore, Ulrich Wild, and then Brendan O'Brien mixed it, which I was
Oh
really
yeah.
excited about. Yeah, because he'd
And
always
I
been
was
one of
gonna
my.
say, oh, dude, yeah, I mean, because I was gonna say between him and Ulrich Wild, it was so
Yeah,
punchy.
yeah. And we did. What did we record? We recorded tracks we recorded with Ulrich were "Killing the Fly" and
Mm,
"Revolution Man." Yeah, and it just kind of has
bang,
that
bang.
signature kind of dark sound that he records, and just his recording style. And
Correct.
you know, uh, Don Gilmore co-produced "Dead Man" and "South Texas Death Ride." We did over at NRG Studios there in LA with Don Gilmore, who's
Right.
famously known for Linkin Park. That's his.
Yes.
I think that's what people know him from mostly. And but yeah, I mean, we had um, so much of that stuff done before we ever even connected with Sony Music, and we
Right.
took all of the tracks that were already recorded and then just kind of revamped some things, rearranged some things, and once we got with those guys, added a thing here and there, maybe arrangements again. So we're always rearranging everything constantly. But
Oh, that's
yeah,
cool.
so that's what we're doing. With this one, it's the same. It's the same thing where I'm just recording everything,
That's cool.
in my home studio, and then I'll probably take it. I'll probably try some mixes myself. See, the thing about mixing your own projects, it's like sometimes, man, you're just so connected to it. You just want to get it into someone else's ears,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
you just want to get away from it and like trust someone else to to balance it all out.
But you're capturing the raw. Like when you do
Oh
it
yeah,
yourself, it's
yeah.
like and like the magic of all this. As a player, and I love gear. What are you playing rhythm wise these days as far as guitars?
Oh man, I'm kind of a classic guy. Like I have several Les Pauls, like
Nice.
several custom Les Pauls, and which to me, I mean, even to this day, like a Les Paul through just a
You can't beat
killer
it.
amp it's unbeatable. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's done. For rock music, you crank a Les Paul through a great amp, and it's done. So
Beautiful.
for clean tones, I like Telecasters and Strats. I have some kind of modified Strats that have some really cool kind of weird pickup configurations, and um,
Interesting.
yeah, but I'm kind of just a classic guy. Like I don't really get into like boutique guitars and
No, oh no,
odd
no, yeah.
things.
Keep it just
Yeah,
plug in and jam. I was curious because
yeah,
again, like your sound on Rebellion and it has this warm this scooped mid range that's amazing, and it just hits you right in the throat. And with your vocal, you have very you have a grit vocal. If I'm not trying to it sound weird, but it matches your vocal so
I
well.
like the grit. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And it like again, like South Texas Death Ride and all that. It has that. There's something about it when you have a swept mid with that. Even going back to Across the Nation. When you get the guns, the dry, and you hit that da 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 da.
yeah.
It had this magic. And then when you hit that, let's get it on, yeah, and everything just hit at once. And that's just it's what's so awesome about your sound, dude. And that's very cool. So
You know what
anyway.
we did with that guitar sound. Yeah, I can tell you're a gearhead. I love it. You know, um,
I just
what
appreciate
we
it.
yeah. What we with rebel with across the nation. God, you know what? We recorded. See, this is what's crazy about this stuff. We recorded that. We recorded that song in our rehearsal space.
Oh
When
wow.
we were working on some you know, just newer stuff and kind of rehearsing some stuff for a run we were going to do. And then we we got the WWF thing at the time,
Yeah.
WWF. And it was like, well, you know, they really want you to contribute a song. So we kind of started working on all of that. So we kind of shut the rehearsal down and started focusing on this. And man, we were just like in this rehearsal space, not set up for sonics at all, right? And
Wow.
we were just putting mics and blankets and so the guitar sound on that was the JCM 800 mixed with the
Perfect.
5150 mixed with the 5150, like the original 5150. And
Oh
so
yeah.
those were going at the same time, you know, mic'd both of those up. And then also what kind of gives it a little bit of that fuzz on that tone is we went
Yeah.
on the JCM 800 has a direct out,
Oh
which
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
the direct out sounds horrible. I mean, if you know, just by itself, right? It's just this fuzzy, like, you know, the lead sound from Revolution from the Beatles, right? It's kind of like that sound.
Yeah.
But mixed in with those two
Blended.
amps, it
Yeah.
sounded fantastic because it needed a little bit of that fuzz. And so and we just did it right there in the rehearsal space. You know, we stuck the amps in the back of the room and I faced them against the wall and put blankets all over them and you know,
Oh,
kind of
that's so
yeah,
brilliant.
you can just do it
So
wherever
brilliant.
you have to get it done. And you know, and I did the vocals right there in the space too. Kind of put some,
What?
you know,
Oh,
built a little
dude.
thing around me and just put, you know, hang some stuff so there's no
It was
reflection and just recorded it
it
right
was
there.
so raw. It was just like, oh, you just had this
Yeah.
but that's it, like as an influence, who influences you as a singer?
Oh
Is
man.
there anyone? I mean, you're your own guy. I know that, but
Well,
because
yeah, I mean it always comes from somewhere. I mean, I
right, right,
anything from wow, I mean it's endless. I mean, I have guys that, you know, from the 70s that I love,
yeah.
um, all the way to, I mean, obviously the 90s is when I first started, you know, writing songs and, you know, um, so Chris Cornell and Lane Staley and like
Oh hell yeah,
vocally, vocally, I'm like more of a 90s kid, you know.
yes,
Musically,
yes,
I
sir,
can be a little more of an 80s guy, like just kind of big, just, you know, bombastic riffs and that kind of thing. But when it
for
comes to
sure.
vocals, I'm definitely more of a 90s guy.
Cool.
So it was those guys that influenced me the most. Cornell, Lane Staley, you know, and guys like you know, Trent Reznor. You know,
Yes,
I was a big Nine Inch Nails fan.
no doubt.
Um, so you know, all of this. I love Richard Patrick. You know, I love Richard
Yeah.
Patrick's voice. You know, I love that tone. And
Awesome.
so all of those things just kind of, you know,
We interviewed him for
form
the
into.
we
Yeah, we
interviewed
did.
him for the show as well,
It was
Brian.
about a month, 2 month and a half ago. Yeah,
Oh, you had Richard on?
Yeah, we had Richard
yeah,
on as
yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, good, cool. Yeah, you know, I know they put out a new record, but I haven't heard it yet.
Yeah, it's a really, really good album as well. They're
Killer,
about to tour
awesome.
Australia as well. It must have been fun diving into that album, but also creating some new material as well for the Union Underground, because I know
1,000%.
Underground is something that you hold very dear to your heart. You must. It's something you come out of junior high with. You created this album that would have had a huge impact on you in your 20s and who you are today.
Yeah.
So, to have the chance to finally get in the studio and start creating some new music for the Union Underground must really be a cathartic and kind of great experience kind of at the moment to kind of get it happening. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh yeah, and absolutely, man. And it's kind of nice to be, where I'm at, um, a little more mature, not as ridiculous as we were at the time.
20s.
And even though that can create some good elements, right? It's nice to have a much clearer head about it, and 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 not be coming from a place that maybe is so needy, meaning like you have to
Right.
prove something, like this is my first thing, I have to get it done, it's my only fucking thing in my life, which
Right.
was but which can yield great results. But also, I'm very excited about where I'm at now, and I could just focus on the music only and not all that noise, man.
Right.
It's just the music,
Beautiful.
Yeah, I want to touch on Cult to Follow, dude, because that really is a great
Oh, awesome.
project. That album, The
No
Inception.
doubt.
Can you tell us
No
a little bit
doubt.
about the people that may not know about this project you've had? Because it was a great album, dude, and it was
That's
another
cool
one
when
that I
you guys
really
do it.
enjoyed diving back into.
Yeah, thanks so much for bringing that up. And it's funny you say that, because the Cult to Follow crowd and the Union Underground crowd are kind of very separate audiences, and
Huh.
the a lot of the Cult to Follow fans don't even know that I'm the guy from Union Underground, right? So,
That's funny.
I do kind of keep those things a little separate, purposely,
Yeah.
just to, but it's fine to mix it up. But um, it it's been an amazing thing to put that thing together, like after Union Underground, because it was very kind of therapeutic for me, you know,
Mm.
um, after all the chaos of Union in the beginning, and I kind of I felt like I was getting my songwriting stride down, because Colt, Union's just kind of all about just madness and aggression and just cool shit, you know. Cult to Follow is a little headier,
Yep.
right?
Mm.
A little, it's a little more from a songwriter perspective, and so that I like having those two worlds to kind of dig into, when I'm feeling a bit chaotic, I'll sit down and write some Union stuff.
Yeah, and that's going to be pretty
Brilliant.
cool too. That some of the fans don't recognize the two projects. They can kind of stand on their own a little bit as well. You don't have that
It
pressure.
is kind of crazy. Yeah, it is kind of crazy. Like, very few people know from the Cult to Follow camp, from the audience, don't even know about Union Underground. It's kind of crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and that being said, now the Union Underground are back into full swing. Are you still going to keep Cult to Follow going? Kind of have the two projects and the two vehicles to express yourself. As you said, they're both kind of two different bands and two different sounding bands. Yes, you do have moments in Cult to Follow where you can go, oh yeah, this is a little Union, and because it's you can tell your influences, but they are two totally different sounding bands as well.
For sure.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely. I mean, Cult to Follow is 100% active and always will be, for sure. And there's actually a new single that I'm going to release prior to this Union tour starting up.
Awesome.
So yeah, I mean, that'll never stop, for sure. And
Awesome.
it's kind of nice having my own studio here, because I can just work constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have no real life, guys. Like all I do is just sit in the studio, you know.
I'm with
You
you.
know,
Yeah, that's about all Jim
yeah,
does too. Work and sit in the
yeah.
studio there.
Yeah.
So you also you're playing with Flaw and Ra as well, celebrating their great albums that come out around the same
Absolutely.
time too. The one from Ra was from One, and Flaw will be performing Through the Eyes. And as we mentioned with the interview with Tim King from Soil, they'll be cranking out their Scars album as well. I bet you're looking forward to kind of getting in there as well and kind of hearing them other guys kind of play out those albums as well. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I'm familiar with Tim and Soil stuff because we've been friends for a long time. But I was not familiar with Raw and Flaw. Actually, I mean, I know the names, but I had never
Right.
listened to the material. You know, so it was kind of cool digging into that. You know, checking those guys out. Uh, and I know Raw actually they just put out something. Was it just last year?
Yep.
Maybe 2 years
Yep.
ago. They have a
Yeah.
fairly
Sure.
new release,
Shauna,
and
I
I
think,
think
was representing them as well.
I think the Flaw
Yeah.
guys are releasing something new prior to this run. Like I think it's coming out next month. So
Yeah.
that'll be cool to check out. And yeah, I mean, so it was cool kind of digging into that stuff because I honestly wasn't that familiar with either one of them. And those guys, man, Sahaj from Raws,
Oh,
like that guy's voice. That guy's voice is fantastic.
unbelievable.
Yeah, he's really good. And the Flaw guys, I mean, their stuff's just brutal and like the energy is fantastic. But yeah, Raw is yeah, man, as soon as I heard that guy's voice, like, wow. I was surprised that I wasn't familiar with the stuff because from the response that I've been seeing online, like people are really excited that they're on the lineup,
That's
which is
cool.
great because so it seems
It's
like
a
they have a
great
great fan
lineup,
base.
dude. Like,
Killer
yeah,
lineup, killer
check it.
poster.
There's the dude, very
the,
Mad Max looking. I love it.
Yeah, Mad Max, Back to the
Yeah.
Future. Is what
Back to
saying,
the
dude.
Future.
Yeah, Back to the Future cross Mad Max feel to it, man, for
When
sure.
we hit 90 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that. That's exactly what I told the guy that was putting the artwork together. Like, dude, if we're doing a Back to the Futures thing, so we'll take the car and make it kind of apocalyptic, kind of, blah blah blah. And yeah, that's exactly what came out. So that's great that you caught that.
I know.
Oh,
we were
hell
chatting
yeah.
with Tim as well about that very, very fucking cool poster as well.
Yeah.
This has been an absolute pleasure, Brian. I'm looking forward to the new stuff. Hopefully get to have a chat to you when the album's ready to come out. Jim, do you have anything else to add in before we sign out?
No, we would love to have you again, Brian, if you'd allow us.
Absolute pleasure, Brian.
Absolutely.
Do you have any last words, shout outs, thank yous, or anything we may have missed you'd like to throw in there, my friend?
Thanks for having me, guys, by the way. And back to the 2000s tour, March, the unionunderground.com and all other places to get tickets. You can find it online. And we will be releasing, an obnoxious amount of music over the next few years. So be looking forward to it.
Awesome. We are looking forward to it. So everybody grab some Union Underground for now, chuck it in the stereos, crank it up really loud. And if you can catch them on tour over in the US, do it and break your neck with all the other guys with Flaw, Ra, and Soil. Thank you very much, Brian. You have a lovely evening, my friend.
Thanks so much, guys.
Done. Cheers, mate.
Appreciate it.
Oi, you're tuned in to Joliet, that Aussie metal guy, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his sick content. And remember, stay brutal, you legend.